Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home Coffee Brewing with April. My name is Patrik and we're in Copenhagen, and this will be the last video in Copenhagen for quite some time. And I'm meeting up with Bryan, which lives behind me here, to see how he's brewing some American roasted coffee with the April Brewer. So come on in. Awesome. I'm gonna film your slippers because they look awesome. So we're on the inside and we're about to brew some instant coffee a little bit randomly because you have instant coffee.
Yeah. But I mean, this always helps when you're going to places where you kind of know that coffee is not the best. And I've tried yours and I really liked it.
You tried the filter drip packs, right?
Yes, and I've tried all three. And of course, the geisha one is probably my favorite.
Yeah, fancy taste, no?
Yeah, so I actually got this from Black and White, and I saw this was a different kind of an instant coffee.
Tell me how they did that, because this is kind of like, also like full disclosure, we have a bunch of Black and White coffee here, so I'm assuming this video will be a little bit of a Black and White theme, which is really cool because we haven't featured it, and they're good friends of mine. So let's do it. But yeah, you said they did that themselves?
Yeah, so I think they work with people. Basically what I was told when I got it is I was expecting it to be a little bit similar to yours, whereby it's a drip pack, right? But then they told me that's not the case, and how they do it is they actually pull an espresso shot, and I think they freeze it in some way, and then they turn it back into a powder form, which is basically right here. And then when you want to enjoy it, you basically just dilute it again with water, and then you drink it. Yeah.
I mean, awesome. That's basically what instant coffee is, right? It's always going to be brewed coffee, and then it's then freezed kind of in a vacuum, fancy machine. And then this is what comes out, and we figure we just, because we have some of their coffee that we are going to brew. So why don't we just kind of maybe we do that a little bit quickly, so we have something to drink when we're brewing. And then we can kind of compare the two. And see, what is tasty. I don't know. It's just fun, right? Is all of these the same coffee?
Yeah, they are all the same.
So,
do you know the producer?
Jonathan Gaska?
Yeah.
I had no clue. Do you know?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I chose it based on the notes, right?
There's not any. So there's a clear. I just want to say here, there's a clear trend in processing on all of these coffees.
I think at Black and White, they do a lot of adventurous stuff.
Anaerobic natural co-ferment. Do you want to explain what co-ferment is?
Actually, I'm not very well versed with co-ferment, but my understanding is that during some parts of the process, they actually put in the fruits and they process it with it. Okay.
So that's co-ferment. And the first time I heard this term kind of was actually in the beginning of this year in Los Angeles. And everyone was saying it's like a co-fermented coffee. And I was like, what does that mean? Because I also didn't know, because it's not really what April does, right? But then it's exactly what you say. They put, if you wanted to taste like strawberries, you put strawberries in it, right? The question is, does that actually make it taste like strawberry? That's a much longer conversation for another time, which one we should have though.
For sure. But I actually learned about it when I was in Japan, and they had one where they did it with passion fruit. And it really tasted like passion fruit juice. And it was quite amazing. And this one is the berry one that they did. So it's really interesting how they are doing things now. And at Black and White, I think they really choose and make coffees in a way whereby it's quite adventurous. So you get to taste quite different things.
Would you like?
To a certain extent, I think I like a little bit of mixtures. There are some days where you just want something that is clean. Which is what I've grown to realize I quite like, which is why I frequent April quite a bit, because it's always light, clean taste, right? But there are days whereby you just wake up and you feel like, okay, you need an extra and you want something that's a bit more flavorful, and that's when you go for something like that.
Then you bring in Black and White. So it takes like an American recipe to do. Awesome. I'll say
let's try this.
You said you needed to figure out how much 8 ounces.
Yeah, so 8
which I don't know either. So I'm sure you guys know, but we don't know. So we're gonna use our phones.
8 ounce to mils. 235 mils.
Okay.
That's quite a decent amount.
That's for us. Do we have? But you have a large cup.
Yeah. So I'll just use this first then.
Why not?
Yeah, because that's the other thing about the April drip packs. I thought 150 to 200 mils
Yep.
may not be sufficient, kind of.
For like 1 cup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah. So I was
Do you
always
think it is?
thinking,
Do you
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm always thinking like, oh man, it tastes great, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
can we increase the size of it? So you know
So
what I mean?
he's like a volume guy. He wants like a lot of flavors and a lot of volume on top, which I do appreciate. You know, we are one of those things, and we get this in our store a lot, where
Yeah.
people kind of get pissed because we only serve like 1 coffee. You know, we have 1 filter coffee,
Yeah.
1 limited coffee. Most
Yeah,
coffee
yeah,
shop
yeah,
would
yeah.
have like choose between
Yeah,
these
yeah,
5
yeah.
different pour overs, right?
Yeah.
And I'm one of these where, you know, I rather have like 1 really tasty cup of
Yeah.
coffee and like savor it,
Yeah.
rather than having like a lot of different ones at the same time.
Yeah.
Just kind of the same thing with the volume.
yeah.
But I also know people like a lot of coffee.
Yeah, no, I think it's great what you do, a few kinds of coffees, just 1 or 2. More importantly is if it tastes great, right? But the volume, yeah. What's the serving size of the coffee in your shop? Like a brew?
Roughly 170.
Oh, okay. The
Mils.
cup makes it look a lot more. So I don't have that.
That's the secret.
I don't have that issue when I have.
I mean, we pour 200 grams on,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
there's
yeah.
obviously there's the
Yeah,
weight loss,
yeah.
right? What do we think here? So it should taste like raspberry, cherry, hibiscus, complex citrus, and coconut. Like I tried a few. We actually do an instant coffee product together with Satin Bird in China.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's like a thing we do in China exclusively. And in my experience, we also had, who was that? There was a Finnish guy that did an instant coffee a long time ago.
Okay.
Kind of the first one, big in the US. I forget it. I'm sure you guys know as well. But bottom line is, this is a very complex flavor description
Yeah.
for an instant coffee.
That's
You know, let's put it like that. So excited to try. Did we figure out who Jonathan Gaska is?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Do we know like the country or
No,
what's this say?
no, it's just and I think that's what they do on the labels. I don't think they.
It's a thermal shock Pacamara. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say most likely Colombian coffee.
Yeah.
Just because Colombian coffee is kind of really into thermal shocks.
Okay.
And I'm sure one of you nerds out there knows exactly what this is and is laughing with the fact that I don't know who that is. But again, like thermal shock coffees is not our forte at April, right? So
Okay,
It's
so
okay.
230 grams of water, right? That's easy.
that is easy. Okay, so that's a very dark cup of coffee.
It does
That's an
smell.
observation.
So, yeah, it smells so as well. It'll be interesting to see if the notes come though.
I mean, it's if it just have half the amount of notes it says here, I would be kind of happy.
Okay,
Okay, awesome.
that's good.
Then maybe we'll let that cool down a little bit
Yeah.
and let's jump into the real stuff. The real kicker here would be if we had the same coffee as beans.
Yeah.
Because then we could have done like a complete conversation. But you have a few different ones here.
Yeah.
Which
I
one
would
do you
say
feel you want to?
Let's go with the Wilton Benitez. I think this one is really good.
Wilson Benitez,
Yeah.
El Paraiso 92. Even I know that. Really famous guys, right?
Yeah, okay.
Interesting backstory as well.
I'm glad I chose it.
How did you? I need to ask. So, how did you stumble upon this? Because we're in Copenhagen, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, I think if you walk around in coffee shops in Copenhagen and you pitch black and white coffee roastery,
Yeah.
not everyone will go, "Oh,
Yeah.
I know exactly what that is."
Yeah.
How did you stumble upon these guys?
Well, I actually have a friend in Singapore who has a friend who used to live in the US.
Yep.
And he used to go to black and white quite a lot to a point where he was doing cupping sessions with them. And so when I told him I was going to move to the Raleigh, Durham area, this name popped up. And when I was there for a week to look for my house and stuff like that, I thought, okay, this is number one place I had to go and check out. So I went there. And I went there and I had some of their coffees there and I decided to get bags of coffees back. And there's a few things I noticed. They were serving coffees in much larger cups, but also the bags are like 340 grams each.
Yeah,
Right.
That's like an American
right.
size. Yeah, sure.
So so that's how I got to know them. And it's
So you're gonna be
quite
the new neighbor.
I guess it's a place I would frequent a lot more for sure. For beans and for coffee as well. So that's definitely an interesting one to keep following up on.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, these cups are beautiful, and they're from MK Studio. Right? I'll let you say, but I keep on trying to figure out how I'm supposed to hold them.
Yeah.
Because it's really hot, and there's like a lot of, I can't hold it like this.
Yeah.
Can you? I mean, I can't.
No, so this is actually the first time I'm using this cup.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a gift for myself. It's like a nice gift to have when I move, right?
Oh, for sure. It's a piece of Copenhagen with you, yeah. And they're amazing. So when I competed in the Brewista championships, they do my cups. So they do like custom cups for me.
You don't use the April ones?
Not in espresso.
Okay.
In filter, yes. But in espresso, I actually been working with their cup. So, you're doing a lot of stuff here now.
Yeah.
First of all, you're spraying water on the coffee.
Yeah.
Why do we spray water on the coffee?
Well, more for static, so it takes that away. So the wife's happy. No grounds all over the place.
It's clean and the wife is happy.
But I've also heard in recent times that apparently when you do that, it changes some of the properties. I'm not sure if it's true.
The claim is that it basically increases extraction.
Yeah, okay.
Do I know if that's true? No. Have I tested it enough? No. However, there's a lot of homebrewers that do it, right? So I see this a lot. Like, we did a video just a few days ago, and everyone is spraying water on the coffee beans. Yeah. So I guess something.
No, but I started doing it more because of the static. Yeah. Sure. Especially when you have a grinder like that just throw grounds on. Like, right. So then that's why I got it basically, and it works well. Yep. Yeah.
Spray water on the coffee.
Yeah, and then I'm using water out of this because it's distilled water.
Yeah. So demineralized water from Matas, also featured frequently in these videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. If you live in Copenhagen, that's what you should do.
Okay.
You have like the perfect combination. This is what I've been brewing coffee with for like 7 years in Copenhagen. At home.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you have a mineral pack.
Yeah, also. And then I use third wave water, but I normally use less than a bag. So I normally keep my water at about 90 ppm.
Okay. Yeah. You actually measure it?
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah. So because I know if you use one whole bag for a gallon of water, which is about 4 liters, it's about 140 ppm.
Yep.
Of course, it's still better than using the tap for sure. But I 100%. Think it's for some coffees, there's still a little bit of the mineral taste to it. Okay. And I think that's a little bit high for my liking. Yep. So then I brought it down to 120, and then I think I'm at 90 now, and it seems to work quite well. So I'm sticking with 90. I have friends in Singapore that tell me 30 or 40 ppm works for them. So I'm not there yet, but I'll try when I get there. So that's why water is here, 90 ppm.
I keep on drinking instant coffee.
Yeah. So that's about it.
How much coffee did we dose?
13 grams.
13, okay.
Yeah, so I use 13 grams to 200 mils of water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit classic April.
Yeah. Because I like that light, clean tasting cup.
Yep.
Right. Previously, I used the switch quite a bit.
Yep.
And I was using coffee with the dose of the coffee was way higher, maybe about 18 to 20 grams. Yep. Still tasty, but much heavier mouthfeel.
Yep.
Didn't really like it.
Bit more texture.
Yeah. So I'm not always a volume guy because I got 280 mils with that one, right? But now I'm happy with the 200 mils.
It could very well be that when this video is launched, April has launched our own, I call it April Hybrid. And you guys are like the first one to hear about this now. So we might or may not have done a little switch hybrid function for our April brewer. But that's a different story.
Okay. Yeah, but that will be cool. I mean, it gives you the flexibility of when you want to let it drain through or when you want to steep it, right?
Which is actually quite helpful when you work with these kind of coffees. Because what we talked about before we started this video as well, the flow rates sometimes are really quick.
Yeah.
Right? So the water goes really quick. And then just your ability to lock in that contact time is going to help you extract these coffees better.
Oh,
So
okay.
Black and White should use our brewer at the bars.
Yeah, you can ship.
Yeah, you should just write me an email when you see this, Kyle, and then we'll talk about it. What is the grinder you're using?
It's a DF64.
DF64.
Yeah, so I use, this is maybe about a year old, and I chose it because it's a flat grinder, and I think that worked a little bit better, or I had a preference for it back then.
Yep.
So
do you know the diameter of the
I think
burst?
it's 64 mm.
64? Okay,
Right,
sure.
yeah. So I know they have a
64.
larger version that is 84 or 82.
Cool.
But this one works.
I've seen it a few times before. Also, we featured this actually in a homebrewing video as well.
The same grinder.
Did you try this?
No.
You want to try this?
No, I'll try it.
Let's not forget about the instant coffee that we're drinking. This is on the lighter side and on the funky side, according to packaging. So raspberry, cherry, hibiscus, complex citrus, and coconut.
The berry and the cherry, I think I got that.
Berry and the cherry, okay.
A bit floral, maybe hibiscus, I can believe that.
Yeah.
But anything beyond that, it's a bit, the finish is quite dark.
So coconut is a tough one, right? I mean, I think coconut is one of those things where, it's quite intense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say in the world of instant coffee, which I've dabbled with myself, good work, no? I mean, like solid instant coffee. The reason why April doesn't have instant coffee in our main product line is that I still think that the filter drip packs taste way better.
Yeah.
That's like my main argument for that. But interesting, if you want to try instant coffee, maybe try their instant coffee.
Yeah, this one is definitely a bit darker and has a heavier mouth.
I mean, they do say it's a very light one, which
it's American.
I'll be surprised to try the dark one because that must be pretty dark.
Have you tried?
They're right about the funkiness, though.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
So if you like funk, then why not?
Yeah, but I would say it's quite good. The berries taste really comes through. The cherries as well. But the aftertaste is not my favorite. Like that's what I mean by I prefer a light, clean cup.
Oh, sure.
Tea, it's really light. This one lingers really quite long.
Yep. So you're rinsing the paper filter.
Rinsing the paper filter.
I can see already that you're not using an April paper filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we using? Guess for
the Kalita.
Kalita. So
Yeah.
we're matching like the tablecloth more or less, which is
true.
cool. So that's the 185 Kalita.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is this because you dislike the original April paper filter, which is okay?
Yeah, it's because this is what I had at home.
Fair point.
Yeah, when I bought the brewer, but I'm actually quite keen to try the April one. And
Have you never tried it?
No. And
We tasted it in our store, so you have like some. Okay, cool.
But I would also want to know how you know
should
that
have brought
this is
some.
not the April paper. Because it's transparent.
No. The main thing now is that this is the 185 size.
Oh
filter, right?
yeah, okay.
And so April now has a paper filter that is the exact same height, and most importantly, the exact same width in the base.
Okay.
So this is obviously made for Kalita, right?
Yeah.
And our first generation paper filter is also our own made paper filter, but it's actually made for the ceramic brewer initially and not for the plastic. So the plastic, like that paper filter's been a bit too small. So we made a custom one, so I can just see that it fits differently, right? Then you have a different thickness, if you want to be really kind of specific about it.
No, but it's definitely.
We use the Kalita filters for, not in our stores, but before, like when I started to, let's say, develop April Brewer, the first year or so, we actually worked with Kalita filters.
Oh, okay.
Because it took us a while to go like, something is still not right. How can we make this better? And then the paper filter was like the last kind of tipping point. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So let's see, you're really quick too.
Yeah.
We rinse the paper filters. You always rinse?
Yes, I always rinse.
Always rinse? Hot water, cold water?
Hot water.
Doesn't care?
No, I normally use hot.
Doesn't matter.
And then when that smell of the paper comes up, I know it's
Then you know that. Yeah, fair enough. Though. 30 grams of coffee, grind size?
13 grams of coffee.
It says 60 on the grinder?
60 on the grinder. That's the only reference I have because this is largely the only grinder that I use. But Is this finer?
I'm gonna random say you're touching maybe up towards 700 microns, which is like makes perfect sense.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I don't know the distribution of particles in this grinder, but visually, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, okay.
I will say. Let's see how it tastes, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you smell it?
I mean, and I mean this with a lot of love and respect for these guys, but they roast a little bit dark.
Oh yeah.
Darker than
Yeah.
But again, love these guys. And would actually really like to visit their coffee shops. We did a podcast episode together a long time ago in our COVID podcast. If you ever want to listen to a podcast, cool.
Yeah, okay. But I'm not surprised it's darker. So if even when they say it's light here,
that's what I can't get my head around.
Yeah.
True. But to be fair, US is the land of more developed roasting. And I mean not good or bad, because there's definitely there's a quality difference in each category of roasting, right? So I think there's more bad light roast than it's bad American roast, which I don't think is light roast in general, right?
Yeah, no.
So I think it's let's just call it American roasting style. It's the most democratic, right?
I would agree.
It's not necessarily dark, and it's not light. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's nothing as light as what we find here.
No.
Yeah. So
No.
Should I start brewing?
Go for it, man. Okay. Just walk us through what you're doing. So 93 degrees Celsius.
No, it's actually 91. So
it is 91 degrees
Celsius.
Cool for 93.
Yeah.
And is that 91 is quite important to you?
Yeah, as in I try and go for 91, but of course on days when I brew and it's like 90 and I'm at home, I just go with it, right?
It goes with it.
That's what home brewing for me is. I think it needs to be sustainable in a way where you have flexibility in this. It's a little bit different than ensuring the quality in a cafe, I can imagine. So for me, about there is kind of good enough for me. And at the end of the day, as long as the coffee tastes good when you're at home, for me, that's what I want.
Sure, right, definitely. Then it tastes good, right? I think one thing to consider, and something I think about myself when I brew a lot, is I usually don't change brewing temperature so much, apart from if I, let's say, were to brew a darker roasted coffee.
Yeah.
So I would do a temperature change depending on, let's say you were brewing April coffee or brewing this, then I would personally have a clear idea of the difference in temperature I would use based on roast degree, right? But otherwise than that, I think it makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, so I normally try and keep temperature the same as well. So like you were saying before, some coffees just take a longer time to drain, right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, I usually adjust my pouring structure a little bit more versus playing with the grind size or the temperature.
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe instead of 4 pours, I do 2 bigger pours and just let it drain, right?
Yeah.
And that works for me. So I'm gonna start brewing.
First pour.
Yeah. 50 grams and
50 grams, sorry.
all circle.
All circle, and you're kind of starting small in the middle and then going out towards the edge, right?
Yeah, and then just back in.
How come it's 50?
Simple for me, just 54 pours and I'm done at 200 grams.
So we're gonna do 50 times 4?
Yeah, so that's the easiest for me. Why circle? I tend to want to believe a little bit more even extraction, getting all the grounds, and the circle pour, the center pour actually makes it a little bit too quick for my liking, right?
So center pour it's first of all, most of the water is going to go through the same spot. Two, so basically what you're doing when you're pouring water in the filter, the coffee is pushed up. Right. So the whole coffee bed is basically pushed up. The difference between a cone brewer and a flat brewer is that a flat brewer, when you pour water, all of the coffee is going up. When you do it in a cone brewer, it's going to separate. So your water is going to sit in the middle. So you have some coffee in the bottom and some coffee in the top when you're pouring, pretty much. And if you do basically circle, then you're going to make sure to kind of push that coffee down. So you're going to have a more uniform extraction. Plus agitation really matters. I'm a big fan. Like I like the taste of agitation.
What's the taste of agitation?
Better. Good question though. I think you get a little bit more acidity out of it. I think you get a bit more complexity out of it.
Yeah.
If you use, you probably see, so at 140 you're done with the pour. Do you have like a pouring structure in terms of time also?
Yeah, so every 30
Every
seconds.
30 seconds. Yeah,
that's, that's a pour of about 50 grams. And then the brew should drain by about 3 to 3:10, I think, for this coffee.
Okay, so quite long contact time for being a funky coffee. So
yeah. And I would like to think, well, that this grind size that I'm using is actually a bit finer. Before I used the April brewer, I was actually using more like 65.
Okay, sure.
But I find because of how quickly the coffee drains through this, I can afford to go a bit finer.
Yeah, sure.
Which for me is what I like. Just from a taste profile point of view.
Yeah. Extending that contact time.
Yeah. So even though it's about 3 minutes, it actually tastes quite good for me.
Yeah.
And I like it.
That's the important part, right?
Yeah.
I think always. That's super interesting. We have to also talk. So obviously the server we're using here is from the same company as the cups, right? Also MK here in Copenhagen. This is the first time I see it actually. I've seen it on photos, but I never actually seen it in real life.
But your espresso cups are from
them.
Yeah. It's quite good.
I really like them.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so we're basically at 3 minutes now, and it's getting there, right? We're basically already drained through, and you would always let it drain through.
I will just let it drain through. Does the age of the coffee affect?
When you say age, do you mean roasting or green coffee?
Roasting.
I would say to some degree, yes. Mainly from the argument is that older from roast, I would probably go a bit finer on the grind size to make sure to get more flavors out of it, because it can be a little bit flat. I actually don't...
Okay. Yeah, this has been a while. Actually.
What does this mean? No,
it's the American kind of a date format. So it's February 15th.
Yeah, is it the roasting date or expiration date?
The roasting.
Roasting date. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you don't have old coffee. That's good.
Yeah.
So OG 15, that makes it about roughly
a month and a half.
Yeah, a month and a half, which is actually kind of perfect, I would say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you like to rest your
coffee but to be fair, this is a more developed roast, and I would probably brew that fresher.
Oh, okay.
I would say, and leave a lighter roast to actually rest for longer.
Oh, yeah.
So April coffee, I would rest longer than a black and white coffee.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so that's done.
That's done.
In here.
What do we? So we're gonna find what's table grape. Do you know that?
No.
Okay. Something grape.
Like grape. Yeah, but it just tastes like grapes.
Tastes like grape. Yeah. Table grape though. Is that like a wine reference? No. Maybe someone out there knows what a table grape is and they can tell us. But something with grape. Apricot, tepache.
Tepache is it's like a kind of a fermented pineapple, if I'm not wrong.
Oh yeah, right? Like Mexico. Yeah, you have if you go to like here at Sancho's here in Copenhagen, great taco shop, they would have like a soda.
Yeah.
That is this.
Yeah, I actually had it at Saks at Trans Eating.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so they served it, and I briefly remember that's what they told me.
That's how my coffee tastes. Yeah. Awesome. Did it taste the same?
No, that wasn't a coffee. That was the actual drink.
That was actual drink. Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna pour.
And here they say Colombia. It's just on the instant coffee. They don't say the origin.
Yeah, the instant coffee one doesn't have.
It's like it doesn't matter when it's instant coffee. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, you wanna try?
I want to try. Did you try?
No. I'll let you try it first.
Let's talk about how it smells first.
Okay.
So when I see apricot on a bag, I'm thinking like stone fruit.
Yeah.
That's like, and then you can choose, is that a peach or what is nectar and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Would you find
stone fruity? Yeah, I would say yes. That's like the main thing I'm smelling, to be honest.
Absolutely, and I think there's on this tepache thing, which I don't really know if I actually tried myself. Definitely something fermenty.
Yeah, I think
fermenty tropical. So I guess Maybe that makes sense also.
Yeah, I think when it's funky, most of the times there's a bit of that tropical fruit flavor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I can believe that, and I've had this coffee quite a few times. So I think there's a little bit of that aftertaste, the pineapple kind of.
Was this you said you had it a few times, which means you brewed it a few times.
Oh yeah.
Was that a difficult coffee? Did it take you a long time to come up with this recipe, or is
No.
this kind of the first one you used?
Yeah, no. Again, I've tried the same beans with different brewers, of course.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, it's which taste profile I like, right?
Oh, sure.
And as I've said, I like something that's a bit lighter, cleaner tasting. So that's why now I use the April Brewer. And I just try it with the same grind size, same temperature, and if it tastes good, I'll just keep it that way.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So
What do we think?
yeah, it tastes like how it normally does. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think also the drinking experience is very similar to the aromatics, right?
Yeah.
Like it tastes the way it smells, right?
Yeah.
In a way.
But for me, I would say it probably tastes more funky than it smells. When I smell it,
Sure. You get a little bit more of that like fermenty note to it.
Yeah. Great, yes. So I think it really comes through in these flavors as well. Like it's a bit grapey acidity, and then stone fruity, and then at the end, there's that funky
Ferment.
pineapple taste.
Do you find it roasty at all?
Not so for me.
Okay.
Yeah, like this is roasty.
Okay.
Yeah, so that for me is 100% roasty. This is not the lightest of mouthfeels for me.
Yep.
But I can accept it, like in a way where I would still enjoy it. This one is a bit too heavy for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where my
So
benchmark.
you think it still kind of integrates well, yeah, which is fair enough. I think it's like there's clearly a level of bitterness in the cup, right? And I think in the finish it sits darker than I'm used to.
Yeah.
But I think it's to some degree also kind of well integrated with the flavors. Like sometimes this whole idea, let's say bitterness in coffee is like bitterness, and I would say bitterness and mouthfeel, and I mean all the attributes in a coffee, but especially bitterness and mouthfeel, like if they are present in the cup in a way that supports the other qualities, then I think it's okay.
Yeah, I
right?
agree. Yeah.
So a little bit roasty, but again, that's okay. It's a style, right? Which I can appreciate.
But is there a way to reduce the bitterness then?
So good question. And yes, I would say with this coffee, do the same thing that you did, but just push that temperature down below 90.
Oh yeah, okay.
Run like an 88, 87.
Yeah, okay.
What you're gonna do is that a lot of that kind of roast character is gonna magically just disappear, and it's going to be a lot cleaner in the expression.
And it applies for most coffees. Like
I would say as a general idea, a darker roasted coffee would benefit from a lower temperature. Naturally, you also have to keep in mind that when you take that temperature down, you might extract less of other things also. You don't want to be at a point where you strip too much of the positives out of it. Like you have some clear fruit qualities to this coffee. You want to make sure that they're still present in the cup, right? So kind of adjust that temperature as much as you can. A two temperature pouring structure could also make sense. So what you could do in your case, which we also seen in this video before, or in these videos, is that you could, for example, start with let's say you start with a 90 pour. And then you pour in some of that kind of room temperature water, take that down to maybe 80, do that second pour, and that's going to change quite a lot. But I mean, also like I would say, and I've tried a few black and white coffees over the days or years, very representative, right? As in like you brew it in a way that I think they would be quite happy with, right? So it's still like a solid coffee.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, but I must say when I tried it at their shops, again, same beans. But they do it much darker.
They brew it much darker.
All right. But then again, it's more of a style. Well, it's not my favorite.
No, sure.
Because like I've been here for a while, and coffee here is a lot lighter, right? So I had to let it sit for a while, just so to let the temperature come down.
Yeah,
and
so
then
it becomes a little bit juicy.
And then you taste a bit more. But I think again it goes to show like the same exact beans. Like I chose it off the shelf and they brewed it right there. But those were roasty.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's a style that the people there like, perhaps.
Yeah, so, sure. Which is also, it's people start roasteries and coffee shops to share the version of coffee they want to share, right?
Yeah.
Which, all respect to anyone that wants to develop the coffee a little bit more. That's totally fair. And I think it's also important when we talk about strength or let's say bitterness in coffee, there's like two aspects of it, right? It's obviously the roasting, but it's also the brewing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also, I know at April, for example, or let's say when I compete, I brew coffee very light.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, so I will come and I drink this and it's too heavy. If they drink my coffee, they will go, Patrik, it tastes like tea, right? So it's, it goes both ways, right? I think it's just a matter of finding the style you like, right? Mm-hmm. But so maybe the money question, instant coffee versus this.
So if I'm in a situation where I'm on a holiday, for sure I'll take these,
sure,
right? But if I could and I could choose to brew, I would still go with the fresh beans, of course. Right?
Fair enough, though. I mean, which I think everyone should.
Yeah, but when you travel sometimes, especially to places where you don't have access to good coffee shops, I think that's when a drip pack or like a coffee like that really, really saves your life almost.
It makes sense. No, 100%.
Right. So this one's good.
Super nice. It's like juicy. Yeah. It's a bit, I want to say peachy, but I mean, why not apricot? It's like stone fruity, right? Cool. I think it's a good time to kind of wrap it up. And thank you for having us, letting us crash your apartment. I appreciate that. Yeah. Best of luck on your trips as well. You're leaving Copenhagen. Yeah. Thank you to all of you for watching as always. I know there's a lot of Americans out there watching this, so maybe you guys want to like weigh in on this American style of roasting / brewing.
And recommendations, of course, for like coffee shops.
And recommendations, right? So where should this guy drink coffee in the US?
Yeah.
Which part of the US? Should we maybe
North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Raleigh-Durham district. So anywhere around there will be fantastic.
Awesome. So come with comments and if you whatever, comments is great, right? Where do we actually drink coffee? How do you brew coffee as well, right? Yeah. Have you brewed black and white? We want to know. Maybe Kyle and the guys want to weigh in on this as well. Give us some tips. Really appreciate that. As always, thank you for watching and thank you for having us again and have a good day. Hi everyone, we're back. You thought we were gone, but we're back because we just did another brew here after the first filming kind of finished. Do you want to walk us through what we did? Yeah,
so I think this time around I dropped the temperature of the water from 91 degrees to 88 now. And the coffee turned out to be a lot brighter, more vibrant. I think it loses a little bit of that juiciness, like that depth, but I think overall it's a lot brighter, cleaner, lighter.
And a lot of the kind of roast characters.
Yeah.
Like I would go from saying that the first cup was quite roasty to now saying that this is not so roasty and kind of nice.
Yeah. So it's great.
Was that the first time you tried a low temperature thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So April actually taught someone something. That's nice.
Yeah.
We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.